My name is Michael Peach and my full title is Senior Coordinator Network Preparedness. I first started working as a volunteer for ADRA in 1997. I've been working with ADRA now close to 20 years. I think it gets in your blood. I enjoy disasters and the rewards of actually being with people in the field, meeting them at their most vulnerable time and supporting them. That's where I sort of feel that rush. Particularly in those first few days following a disaster, to be on the ground, seeing how we can mobilise ADRA's global network to support people when they need us most. And also the value of the church partnership, being able to mobilise the local church, the volunteers, the infrastructure. That's exciting too, because in those first 7 to 10 days after a disaster, the church is probably our largest asset. Part of my role is to make sure that ADRA globally has a response capability. When a disaster happens, if requested, we have staff that can deploy globally to support a local response. Be there for a few days, be there for weeks, be there for months. I think technology has helped us to be more connected, to help us improve finding people when a disaster happens in that first 24 hours and deploying them and keeping a track of them and bring them home safely again as well. I came home from this deployment saying, I don't think I'll ever top this. There was a cyclone response in Tonga in 2018. We don't have an ADRA office in Tonga, but we have a strong church presence there. I flew to Tonga and met with the president of the Adventist Church there and said, we need to go and meet with the head of the National Disaster Management Agency. He said, I'm not interested in your church volunteers. I'm not interested in you distributing food packages. And the church president said, can I pray for you? And I said, oh yes, that's a good idea, let's do that. So we knelt and prayed in this man's office and we left. And we drove back to the church mission. So while we were meeting, we received a phone call from the secretary at the government office saying, can you please come back now? We walked into the office of the director again, and he looked a different man. He was sitting there smiling, and he said to us, I'm sorry I was so rude to you before. What you're proposing is wonderful. So in the space of an hour, we went from having a rude response, getting the Prime Minister's blessing for the Adventist Church to lead a response on the island. And that all came down to a prayer. And after that, God opened doors. I think the best way that ADRA impacts communities around the world is through a disaster. It can be food, it can be water, it can be shelter, access to information, or even a SIM card. When you cross the border following a disaster and you don't have any way of communicating and there's an ADRA booth there with offering free SIM cards, it's such a simple but powerful and tangible way. I would like the world to know more about ADRA's competitive advantage is our global footprint through the 120 country offices that we have in our network, but also that we're part of the Adventist Church, that with a global reach of more than 23 or 24 million members. And that's what I want ADRA to be proud of, and that's what I want ADRA to be recognised for. My ADRA, my story is that when I put on my grey ERT vest, I feel like Superman. My name is Michael, and I'm ADRA.